Dave is your love child. Dave is your love child.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Is Paranormal or Unexplained. I'm your host, Nick, and my co-hosts, Jason and Carrie.
What's going on, everybody?
How you
Hi,
all?
everybody.
How you all doing? I hope you're all having a good, safe 4th of July, and hope you're not getting
Happy
too
4th of July.
drunk and blowing yourselves up. So,
Freedom Day.
Thank you to everyone who served. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
Jason,
thank
we're
you.
talking to you.
Oh, well, thank you. But thank you to everybody else, too. But, all right. Well, I got this week's episode. And what I got for everybody this week is I have 10 short to medium-sized ghost stories. And 5 are real and 5 are fake. y'all
So
gotta
what,
pick
you couldn't afford the extra large?
Extra large? No, I'm on a diet. It's, yeah, you see, it's hard because I'm going ghost stories, and it's hard, like, getting in and making all these stories when you don't believe in them. So,
Right,
That's true,
right.
kid. It's very hard. That's true.
that's like, that's like Nick trying to make a Bigfoot story. But, alright,
So look,
so,
I'm being attacked here.
alright, so here's the first story. The title of the story is called Demon in the Dark. So this guy moves into this apartment, and I'm not giving names out and everything through any of the stories because I want to like protect some of the people's identities. Because some of them were like on Reddit and stuff, and they were using real names and things. And so
Don't let him lie to you. He just don't want you to Google the answers.
No, because like I don't want people like finding their names on Facebook and then messaging, bothering these people.
Right. I get what you mean.
But so
Especially
this
in the world today.
so this guy like moves into this new apartment, and he's been there for a couple months, and he said that during his time being there, he has experienced like just this uneasy feeling of having things move and doors open and all this other stuff, and he hasn't been really explain it. He kind of takes it at first as it's a new place, you just get used to it,
Right.
and eventually things start rearing up where he can't really ignore it, and then two incidents happen that just totally changed everything. He said that one night he came home with a date, and she asked to go to the bathroom, and she goes into the bathroom, and about 2 or 3 minutes of her being in the bathroom, you just hear like a smack and smash, and glass breaking, and all hell breaking loose in the bathroom. And she comes running out. She's got a couple of lacerations on her arms and a couple on her back, and she doesn't say anything to him. She runs out of the apartment. She just gone. She just took off running. And he looks at his bathroom. It's completely destroyed. He talks to her the next day. She shows shaking that she doesn't want to see him again. But after prodding and prodding and prodding her, she finally tells her that she's not sure what happened. So she was in the bathroom fixing her hair and her makeup and stuff, and looking presentable for him. And then the lights cut off on her, and she was slammed against the mirror, and she said it felt like somebody was clawing at her back and trying to pull her to the ground. And she said she just grabbed the door handle and pulled as hard as she could till she got herself up, opened the door, ran out, and that was her experience. After this point, he's Like I didn't believe in him, but I can't deny what that is. But in my financial situation, he couldn't leave, so he's stuck there and can't leave. After a few weeks of other strange things happening, nothing violent's happening to him, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
He's oh, you're good. And he's just sitting there, and one day, like doors are slamming and opening and stuff, and he just screams and says, I'm fucking tired of this. Stop it. Just stop it." He's like, "I'm not going anywhere, and if you're not going anywhere, then we just got to get over this." And he said that like it just kind of went slowly stopped, and he said he went to bed that night, and he says this was the thing that changed his belief of the paranormal forever. Was that he said he was asleep that night and he felt as if a presence was standing there watching him. And he opened up his eyes from a dead sleep, and while looking into his bedroom door, he saw a shadowy figure that looked almost hunched over, but even hunched over, still stood about 8 feet tall, and it was peering at him. They said that there was no eyes, no color, but you could just tell it was peering at him. And then, as if it was checking him out or assessing him, and then it said that it just kind of like shuffled back and forth for a second, walked off, and he said he felt this just wave of emotion like acceptance. And he said he hasn't had a problem since then. It's
Really?
like whatever was in that house accepted him that night and just left it and let it be.
That doesn't sound right to me.
No, it doesn't sound right.
A demonic entity is not just gonna fucking leave you alone.
Well,
not until its job's done.
Well, first,
and chances are it wasn't done with them.
Well, first off, we don't even know if it's a demonic entity. Like, just because somebody got attacked doesn't necessarily mean that it's a demonic entity.
This is just a name that whoever posted this guy's story on here, you know, he wrote a name up there of what he wanted to call it. It's just the name of the story.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I thought it was an actual demonic.
No, it's just like each one of these have a name to it, and that was just the name
okay,
of the
title.
story.
I gotcha.
I guess they just go off of the demonic presence because of the attack on the woman.
Yeah. Like, I can understand that.
Scratches, yeah.
What were you saying, Nick?
I was going to say, they just did that because of the woman getting attacked. I mean, that would probably be the only thing that would give it, like, the whole demonic, like, theme to it. But other than that, it was just more like a poltergeist or an angry spirit of anything like.
Well, even still, that doesn't render it demonic.
Well, see, me, it's like...
Even female spirits can be super aggressive and highly possessive of the males.
Yeah, I understand that, but like I said, that's the only real reason, because they don't have any other way to describe it. If somebody doesn't know anything about the paranormal, that's usually what they first jump to.
That's the thing I usually see about all you ghost lovers out there, is that anything violent happens, y'all love to be like, demonic!
And no, I don't jump to demonic immediately.
Yeah,
unless
I don't either. I don't go straight to demonic. Like,
no,
it's funny when my lights flicker, I'll look at my lights and I'll be like, "Don't make me get the fucking salt on the stage."
Your ghost hunter buddies, they love that stuff. They're all like,
well, that's also
TV. Ghost adventures people, they're all like, somebody. They're like, "Oh man, yeah, something pushed a woman." Like, they're like down the stairs, and they're like, no, just kind of like shoved her to the left. And they're demonic.
I understand that a lot of that stuff is dramatized for TV. I really do get that. Right. Believe me, I do. But a lot of the places that they go to are significantly and legitimately haunted by something. Or there's something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they're not. But you know how boring it would be to watch like an hour-long program just to see a book kind of tilt or tip off of a shelf? Yeah. When that's like usually the kind of normal ghost things that happen in real life?
Yeah.
These pure attacks that people talk about that these guys experience almost on a daily episode of basis are things that are like less than being struck by lightning.
Yeah. I beg to differ though. If you go watch the last few episodes, they haven't really been the greatest at Ghost Adventures. Especially the one where they went to Amarillo. I'm sorry. I know it's where I lived, and I know that's where I technically come from, but it was the worst episode in Ghost Adventures history. I was like, what were they thinking airing this episode?
Yeah, So what are y'all thinking? Y'all thinking real, fake? Y'all thinking that this was a figment of my imagination, or do you think this could have been a real or a figment of a real person's imagination?
I think it's fake.
Both fake?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because usually
y'all aren't even gonna be like try to give me any credit or nothing, are y'all?
No, because usually like any kind of like haunting, I have never heard of like
especially
a poltergeist. Yeah,
I've never. This is real.
I've never heard of a poltergeist basically sitting there accepting somebody else living there. Like usually, if it's
real,
that's a first for me. Because usually,
that's shocking. Because they don't just usually walk away.
No,
Jason, y'all, I'm good at this.
No, because usually poltergeists.
I think we're a little rusty, guy.
Well, whose fault is that? No, I'm just teasing. But
now I really feel like I'm being attacked here.
No, I'm just. We got to break you back in. You're a little rusty.
I'm not a snowflake. Come on.
All right. Here's story number 2.
Well, it's one way to tell me I need to clean that. Okay.
See, there you go. Girl in the bath. So a woman is home alone at night, and she is getting the bath warmed up for her kids. Her husband's just come home, and he's eating whatever they have. She's getting the kids ready, which she said is a normal occurrence for her. She said that she's had problems in the house, and her daughter has all of a sudden just started talking to these people, and she's just kind of like assumed that this is an imaginary, friend, something kind of like that.
How old's the daughter?
The daughter is 4.
Okay.
So she's and she's got she has a brother that's also 8.
Okay.
Because one of the incidences that she reports is that her brother that was 8 was making fun of her younger sister that was 4 that has the imaginary friend.
Right.
And while they were in there and playing, and she was playing with her imaginary friend, her brother proceeds to pick on her. The mom gets on to him, tells him to stop. She leaves up, walks out of the room to I don't remember what was wrote, but they said something about they were doing laundry or getting something in the kitchen she was doing, and she heard her son yelling. And she went back in there, and he said that something had started hitting him and scratching him because he continued to make fun of her, the younger girl. So she just thinks it's just both of their kids' imagination until one night when she's running the bath and her husband's eating dinner. And she says, okay, I'm going to go get your night clothes and everything else. When I come back, I need you in that bath. And because the kids are in the bedroom playing, right. And the daughter's like, okay, I'll be in it. And she walks off, but does what she does, comes back by, glances as she's walking in the thing, and sees the girl in the bathtub. Walks into her room to get her clothes, and she's still in there playing with her brother. She runs back in there, and as she looks back in the bathroom, she sees a little girl sitting there playing in the bathtub still, turn and smile at her. She freaks out and grabs her husband because she thinks that one of the neighbors or some kid has just wandered in her house and gotten in the bathtub. Her husband comes in there and nothing's in there. The bath is still running. They shut the bath off. They're freaking out. They look around the house. The craziest thing is right when they shut the bath off and turned it off and everything, the water that was in the thing, which the spout was shooting out hot water, but the water in the tub was ice cold.
Wow.
So, made up or real?
I'm gonna let you go first, Nick.
Let me think.
Cogs are turning.
Nick's sure you make this one hard, man.
I don't mess around with my jobs, baby. I do it. I do it right.
It sounds just about like something you would hear in a horror movie, but at the same time, could be true because
I'm gonna go with fake.
Really like water.
Nick's going fake. Will this be another point for me, or will this be a point for y'all?
I don't know. I'm gonna say fake.
Fake. Both go to fake again.
It's very hard, but it's a tough choice. But
Bing, y'all get a point there. It is a made-up story that I wrote myself.
I had a feeling.
Like La Llorona. It sounds like a scene out of that movie La Llorona.
Well, it's like you just basically ended it like as soon as like the bathwater went cold, and like that was it. Nothing else happened. There was
what else are they gonna do? You know.
Well, I mean, you're like that was like the only real experiences other than the kid getting slapped around, and then you didn't really say anything that the kid was getting scratched or anything like that.
That's what's up. The kid had to put his kid in place.
I love the way you put that. Kids getting slapped around.
That's how I start every story. Kids getting slapped around. So y'all know that's a dead cow now. If the kid starts off, the kid's getting slapped around. You're like, fake.
That's a trick. You're gonna be like, no, boom, real.
All right, so on to the next one. It is 1-1. 1-1.
No, it's 2-1. I thought.
No,
that was my second story.
No, we get if we get it right, we get 1 point.
But if one of y'all get it wrong, y'all don't get a point.
Yeah.
So y'all right now y'all are tied, so y'all doing well, and the odds are against you too. So because there's 2-on-1. So all right. So number 3, house for sale. All right. So this realtor just started at this company. She's got her first listing, and it's one of these listings that they give you that it's almost impossible to sell. Been around for years. She gets the listing, shows up at the property, and it's just like yard's been poorly maintained. She's kind of like, oh man, I gotta get a lawn company, get all this fixed up. And she goes into the house and starts doing maintenance to it. And as she's trying to fix up the house and get it more presentable, because she's kind of putting her own money into this, because the way she looks at it, if she puts her own money into it, makes and does this and gets her first sell, she'll make a little bit of profit, but she'll also make a name for herself now. Okay. So as she's doing it, she starts noticing that like hammers and stuff that she's left are gone, and she can't find them. She's having to buy hammers and replace ones that she's lost.
Sounds like me having to buy phones.
Yeah. Well, as she continues, and the more the repairs go on, the more the incidents occurs. Like now she starts having like something's pushing the ladders underneath her. And she's starting to like come back to the residence from going to get lunch or going home and coming back the next day. And she has to fight the door open. She says it's almost as if like once she unlocks it, something is holding the other side of it. Mm-hmm. And these incidences keep going on for a little while, and then one night she comes in and she tears out this big part of the wall. And as she tears down this big part of the wall, she said that she just felt the whole room go cold. And as the whole room goes cold, she said she just felt scared, sad, depressed, and just like an emotional wave come over. But the most feeling that came over was flight. She said she felt like she had to run for her life. So she runs out of the door, goes home, gets her boyfriend. They come back because she's like, I don't feel safe there. Can you look through the house or something for me? When they show back up to the property, the fire department said it's on fire.
Oh, shit.
And once this is all over with, she sells the lot, but doesn't get near the amount of money she was supposed to. Next thing you know, they build up a new house on there, and nothing ever happens in that new house. Real or fake?
Fake.
Ooh, going fake again. You think I snuck 2 in a row there?
I think you tried to BS the BSer.
I think y'all should probably talk it out since y'all's votes got to be in sync.
That's true. You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry, Nick.
It's a game. It's a game.
I think that it's fake because it's way too vague.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It was just a little vague and then cuts off at build a house, nothing ever happens. Okay, well, that's not what happened with, like, the Amityville Horror House.
Boy, y'all just don't give me no credit, do y'all? Y'all just like, well, big-ass fake.
They had to tear that house down, and then they built another one, like, a couple of lots away. It was on the same property, just a couple of lots away, not on that same lot.
So you think I would make this story up and use the fire to, like, lean you into thinking it was real?
Yes.
Oh, you think absolutely. I'm
that cold? Well, it's not like it's not really cold, man. It's not like, somebody died in the fire.
Well, that's not like, I'm trying to remind somebody of, like, their cancer patient father that died and shit, that's a traumatic incident.
Well, being somebody who suffered a house fire, that's sort of traumatic, too.
Okay, well, I'm going to shut up, let y'all two ponder for a second. In agreement, and then give me y'all's verdict.
What do you think, Nick? I'm going to say fake because I agree with you. It's super vague, and it just cuts off at nothing ever happened after that.
Yeah, that's way too vague. Yeah, I'm going to say fake.
All right. The answer is, it is a real story.
What?
Yep. Happened in Connecticut.
Oh, shit.
Are you kidding me? Because Connecticut's like the most haunted state aside from Augustine, Florida. Or St. Augustine, Florida. Like, it's like one of the most haunted places ever. Are you fucking... And nothing ever happened after that. They built the house and everything was fine and dandy.
That's more than likely... More than likely, what happened was, what a fear cage is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so more than likely, there was just electrical problems with the place. That's what basically freaked her out. And then when she left...
What do you think about with the ladders being pushed?
She could have just been, like, moving around on a ladder, and the ladder just moved on her own, and she just didn't realize it.
The paranoia got her?
Yeah. I mean, she's there by herself.
I believe it, I mean, I believe it more than a ghost did something.
I mean, if it was a ghost, I mean, I don't think
so you think when she tore that wall out, she left it vulnerable to an exposed wire and it caught her or something?
Yep. Because, I mean, once you split a wire, all it has to do is arc if there's something going through it.
And you trying to convince how real this is after seconds ago calling it a fake story.
Well, here's the whole thing, though. It's not a haunting. It's a real event, but it's not a haunting, though.
Exactly. It's not a ghost. It's not paranormal.
In her view,
it was paranormal. Yes,
it was a paranormal story.
Yeah, in her view, it was a paranormal story. But
I don't think if you go to her and try to give her that explanation, she'll believe it.
Exactly. But to me, the way it sounds,
and you can see why I didn't want to say certain people's names on here now.
Right. I understand that completely.
No, I'm not discrediting or anything. It sounded when you were telling me the story, it just sounded so fake, and it's like, wait, nothing ever happened after that. That's a little suspicious.
That's nothing ever happening after that, even though like the whole house burned down and a new one was built up. Nothing else happened. That's why I'm thinking it was more of a natural occurrence. But since she was there by herself, it was just more of like paranoia taking over her more than anything.
Right.
Okay, well that is now 2-1. 2-1, people.
Well, at least it was a mutual agreement, and I just didn't like totally plow him down and like, no, it's fake.
All right, number 4, horsing around.
Wait, what is it called again?
horsing around.
Okay.
So this family has just recently purchased their dream home. And they move into it, and it's this 2-story log cabin with a huge red barn off to the left of it. And the reason they're so excited is because at their old home, they ran a physical therapy horse center. And so kids with disabilities, learning disabilities, physical disabilities would come in and either get pulled by a pony or they would ride a horse or something that would trot around with them.
Mm-hmm.
So all these horses were very gentle, loving horses, and they had about 8 to 9 horses, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So they started, all of a sudden, after about a week or two of moving into this house, they started seeing shadowy figures standing outside the barn and in their living room. They felt as if they were being watched a lot of the time. Nothing really like physical was happening to them, But then all of a sudden, like, they kind of figured out that the reason things aren't happening to them is because they're happening to their horses. Because that night, not that same night that they saw the shadow figures, but later on down the road, one night they would be there, and all of a sudden the horses started going crazy in the stables.
Okay.
And they went in there and they went to open up the barn doors, and the barn doors were locked from the inside, like by their tornado locks. Because down in the south and in Tornado Alley areas, certain barns have like fallout shelters underneath them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have locks that lock the front lock, the big barn door to protect the horses.
Right, like on Twister.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. So, that big barn door was locked, but the slevy pole, the big iron bar that goes across, weighed about 20 pounds. So somebody had to do it. It just didn't get pushed across by the wind or something.
Mm-hmm. Right, it didn't just accidentally get shut.
Yeah, so the guy runs to his truck, and he had one of those, electrical things or whatever, make construction things on it, and he had a ladder on it. Got the ladder off. He goes through the door where the hay comes through.
Yeah.
The hay bale, yeah, the loader.
The hay chute. There you go. And he goes through the hay chute, and he gets in there, and the horses' stalls are all open, and there's blood all on the walls because the horses have been thrashing against the wall. A couple of them got some pretty deep, serious wounds. And he gets down there and calms the horses down. And as he's calming the horses down and starts getting them in the stalls, the one that he got in like earlier on as putting the horses in starts to lose his mind again. And as he's turning down, as he looks down there, he sees a shadowy figure, but can make a face out of a young boy standing in the stall with it. And he freezes and freaks out for a second, and then he proceeds to come out of that stall and come around to see what's going on. When he comes around, there's nothing there. And he calms the horse down, and that night kind of goes through. Well, these incidences would occur later on and more where the barn doors would be open, the horses would be out, and they'd be so scared they would be sometimes in another county, and they'd have to find their horses. And one particular horse ran out, and they never found it again.
Oh, wow.
So they lost one horse due to it getting out and these doors being open and stuff. So now that he has resulted to bolting and locking it with a chain and stuff from the outside to keep them from getting out like that again. But now the back starts to open, and they're running into the fences and thrashing themselves against the fences, hurting themselves. So they're kind of at their wits' end. They don't know what to do, and they're just lost. So as the weeks go on, they start noticing that their horses aren't freaking out anymore, and they're like, maybe it's passing. But then the horses' health, all of them, start to diminish quickly. Like it's like they all just get sick at the same time. And then eventually, within like a 3-week period, 4 of the more horses die. After these 4 horses die, she doesn't know what to do. She's talking to her sister that comes to visit her once every while. And her sister's extremely religious, says, how about blessing the house and the barn and stuff? So they bless the house and the barn. A preacher comes out, he does it. And after blessing the barn, she said that it just was almost like a snap of a finger, that just like it felt like clean air was in there. And they said after that night, the last 4 remaining horses, like, health started to recover, their hair started to grow back that was falling out, and they would recover and live a full normal life again. But they said that the wife, after this point, has always suffered from like a PTSD from the actions of what the horses had done to themselves and the traumatic things that went on during this. Real or fake?
I don't know, Nick. What do you think? I think it sounds like it could be real. But is he duping us?
That's like the hard thing. Like, I want to go fake.
And see, I want to go real.
Well, give y'all the best argument to why you think it's real and why you think it's fake, and then y'all decide from there. Whose is the best argument?
I know for a fact that entities can mess with animals. I know that. It can affect their health, and I know for a fact that it can affect a human's health. It can affect its surroundings, like electrical. It can mess with water, plumbing, you know what I mean? So, like, that sounds very plausible that this, whatever you want to call it, shadow figure, drove this lady insane by messing with her animals.
Right, I understand that.
Nick, what's your rebuttal?
I don't know, it's just, like...
Take your time, I'm letting my dogs out because I'm enjoying y'all's conversation.
I know you are.
Damn, Nick, did that kill you?
No, I'm here. I'm just trying to think, like...
No, I said Nick.
Yeah, I know you said Nick. This is...
Oh, I know. You went quiet for a second. I was like...
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, like...
Oh, okay. Oh, how you want to say it?
Yeah. Like, to me, usually if somebody blesses the house, usually, especially something like that, it doesn't go away that easily.
It just pisses it off even more.
Exactly.
And then it requires more action
unless it's, like, not evil.
Well, if it's basically harming the animals that much, it's pretty much malicious intent.
I mean, like, not meaning that, like, I meant demonic.
Well, no, even if it's not demonic. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be demonic.
Right.
So that's the only thing that's putting me off, is usually when somebody comes in and blesses the house, it doesn't usually clear up just like that, especially something like an episode like that, where animals are, like, fearing so much that they're fearing so much they're putting up a fight, harming themselves to get the hell out of wherever they're at, and not only that, but also getting sick to the point of dying. Like, that's... I mean,
I could see that, because I mean that's how a horse would react if it saw a snake or something that felt threatened by, is that it would thrash around to get out of that situation no matter what.
Right, but my point is, something with that much energy usually doesn't go away with just a simple, like a priest just coming by and blessing the house, just, boom, 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 done. It usually doesn't go away just like that.
Okay, well,
like, that's the only thing that's really putting me off. I'm gonna go fake.
All right. I guess we're going fake.
All right. It is a real story.
No shit.
No shit, out of Kentucky.
I knew that sounded real.
Yeah, it happened to a ranch out there for the disabled that still runs out there today. But, all right, number 5, the water spirit.
The water spirit, okay.
So this gay couple moves into this new, older Victorian house that's located by a river. And why is it funny that a gay couple moved by a river?
No, it's just, I want to live in a van down by the river.
Well, this is a nice house, by the way they describe it. It's an older Victorian 2-story house, and it has one of those old brick cellars in the bottom of it.
Okay.
And so, after they move in, they're doing stuff and, you know, modeling the house up the way they want it and stuff, and everything's fine. And they've got their connections and stuff in the basement and that little brick cellar downstairs. All of a sudden, they go downstairs, and as they go downstairs, they start hearing noises and grunts and all these other kind of like little makeshift noises they can't really explain and all this. Well, as they're down there one day doing laundry, they are sitting there having a conversation back and forth because they have set up their own kind of like drying unit for their clothes that they have to hang on their own line. Like, you know, things that can't be put in the dryer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like they had their own little clothesline down there, and back in those days, they had a stove that was built in down there that you could light, and when you lit it...
To warm your clothes.
It would warm the clothes that were on the line about 6 feet to the left of the fireplace, because it was located on the wall. So... They used this because that's one of the features that they loved about the house, is that it was an older house with still the warming stove at the bottom of it, and they just thought it was just a really neat feature. Well, as they're sitting there and they're folding clothes on this line one day and getting it ready, as they're getting close to the end of it, one of them says, "I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go light the stove up." And he says, "All right," and he's lighting the stove up, and he just starts talking about how cool this is as he's lighting it and stuff, and his partner's over here on the other side, you know, hanging stuff up, and as he throws the curtain up over, his partner that was lighting the stove has lit it now and turns up. And as he turns up and he looks over the piece of cloth that he had just hung up, he says a hand was coming out from the bottom of that stove reaching to grab his partner's leg. And when he freaked out and came forward and said, "Look," all of a sudden that hand goes back into the shadows and it was gone. So they start freaking out and they don't know what's going on here, because apparently just after saying a hand comes out of the darkness, his partner automatically believes him for some reason. And yeah, so after he sits there and they don't know what's going on, they're sitting there and months go by and they still hear the same noises, grunts, and they start to experience shadow figures now. Like one time they walk in there and they see like what looks like a shadowy figure that you can kind of make out the clothes that it's wearing, and it's like a younger kid, probably around the age of 12 or so, that's wearing like an older, you know, Victorian age, you know, vest and those kind of slacks that kind of buckled up at the top of your foot and stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
He was dressed in
I know what you're talking about.
An older child's clothes, and he was just knelt, like kind of like in the fetal position in the corner over there. And as they approached it, he was just wet and shivering. And they said that they kind of like backed away and started to grab blankets to put over him because they didn't know where he had come from. They just knew it was a shivering kid in our basement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was cold. We need to warm him up.
And so they run over, and their dryers right behind them. They had some sheets and stuff there. They turn around to grab those, and then they turn around, he's gone.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, my God, what is going on? And so after a while of still doing stuff, they decide that they want to put some tile down in their floor. And as they start pulling up the old brick that was in the floor down there, and they want to lay tile on it, they get to about 2 or 3 feet from where that shivering kid was at in the corner of the building. And as they pull one brick up, they notice it's just hollow underneath and goes down for a long ways. And they pull up more bricks, and they realize it's an old cellar water well that's down there, and that somebody had just covered it up. And so they have somebody come look at it. There's no bones. There's nothing like that in it. But they said, if you wanted to, you could hook a bucket up to this and still use it. There's still water down there that's running from that river. And they're like, oh, that's crazy. Well, after they find that out, all of a sudden they start thinking, well, what else has gone on in this house that we don't know about now? And so
like, what did we get ourselves into?
Yeah, so one of them goes and does some research, and he finds out that a long time ago, about 90 years ago or so, that when this town was first established, this house was one of the first houses in this town. And that back then, one of the people that lived in that house, their son was fishing on that bank and had slipped into the river and had drowned. And after doing more investigation, being like, okay, I think that might have been who we saw in our basement then, because the water runs from that river into our basement.
Right under it, yeah.
They started looking for other things that would cause paranormal activity down there, and they found out that the stone in their walls was limestone, which apparently is a huge attractor to spirits.
Yeah.
And they said, so this kid that passed away in the river there had like everything pulling him back to his own house. Not only was it his house, but that every kind of like elemental factor to pull him back there was there. And they said that eventually, that when they stopped being afraid of him and just kind of accepted that he would be there, it just, like, they said that things happen randomly, but they're nothing that's scary. It's kind of like, something will kind of nudge or something like that. But as of still today, they live in that house and apparently live in peace with this entity. So, real or fake?
What do you think, Nick?
I don't know.
He's duped us several times already. We're gonna let him get away with it again?
I don't know.
Because it is now 3-1. Y'all got to get these y'all got to start getting these, or y'all can't come back.
Oh no, we want bonus rounds.
He doesn't have a bonus round. I don't know. That's so okay. So basically, there was.
You don't think I cheesed you out with the name "The Waters Hurt"?
Well, I don't know. The girl in the tub was fake. So. Let me think.
You gotta do it. You gotta give me. I'm doing good.
Yeah, you are doing good. I'm not saying that you're not.
So you're making these very hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy to just be like, boom, fake, boom, real.
Okay. So there was only one spirit in the house. That's what you're...
That they know of.
Okay, but yet they were...
it's the only thing that they ever saw that they actually saw, like, human features to and stuff. They said that they've seen other figures, but this was the first one that had features to it. You tracking?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I'm gonna say fake.
Okay, we're going with fake.
Jason?
You're not going to give like any kind of rebuttal to why it's fake?
I back my partner, bro.
What do you think it is, though? You can at least see.
Well, it sounds real. It sounds like it could be real, like very real. But
okay, well,
you're
maybe
not making this easy.
Like
maybe
the thing is like you went off the story with the first incident was a hand coming up underneath, grabbing the guy's leg and trying to pull him underneath.
No, I didn't say he was trying to pull. He just trying to grab
he said it was reaching out from underneath, and when the guy said, "Look," it retracted back into the shadows.
Right. It looked like it was trying to grab his leg.
As a little boy would to get somebody.
Well, that's the whole thing. We don't know if it was a little boy or not because there was no features.
He just said it was a 12-year-old.
Yeah, 12-year-old kid
who drowned in the river.
Yeah. And
but also, they said they saw more shadow figures, didn't they? At one point.
Yeah, but I mean, it could have still been the same one, just shadowy. I don't know how they roll, man.
I'm still going with fake. I'm still going with fake. Yeah, I'm still going with
fake. Okay, you could still stick by real, and y'all just won't get the point either way.
Well, no, I'd rather stick with him and take our chances to get the point.
Okay, so you're gonna say fake, but you feel in your heart real.
I'm gonna say fake because I'm going with my partner, but I feel like that could be a real story.
Okay, well, here's the answer. It is a real story.
What?
It is a real story. Happened to a couple in Massachusetts.
I believe that Massachusetts is really haunted.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I don't give the areas out, because some of these areas are just like, oh yeah. All right, number 6, a Silent Hill haunting. All right, so this one goes with a point that this guy was a major Silent Hill fan, and that's why it gets the name the Silent Hill haunting from. He believed everything of the game was just epic. He loved the game, has played every one of them, and goes on this point to believe that he has just mastered everything about it. Well, after he's been here for a while and been playing this game and all that, he loses his job, gets moved over to another area, ends up moving in with a family member, and after living there for a while, he says at night he starts to experience things that he can't quite explain. And what ends up happening to him is he says that one night, after moving in this new place, he hadn't even unpacked yet. And as he's asleep, he says he hears one of his boxes tip over and fall on the ground and bust open. And he says that when he wakes up, he sees a kind of like a mist, not a shadow. I mean, as it said it was a mist. And that the mist was just kind of hovering there at the end of his bed. And he didn't know what to make of it. All he knew was deep down it felt horrifying. It felt that whatever it was, it didn't want him there. And he said that he got up, went into the living room, and slept in there that night. This is day 1 in there, by the way.
Huh.
So after he's done that, Dad had the best first night. Just kind of figured, being located at the kind of like a old garage area that's been converted into a guest room, he just kind of was like, I just kind of feel, weird being out here by myself and stuff. So he shrugs it off and finishes unpacking. And as I mentioned before, huge Silent Hill fan. So a lot of his decorations and stuff in his room are from the Silent Hill franchise. And weeks go on. He hears noises, other small things, grunts, moans. Says that he's heard like somebody, like they were above, like on the living room floor, as if they were walking on all fours rapidly across the floor at night.
Really?
And he was hearing just footsteps that didn't make sense. Like, you know, I mean, he said, you know, as he stated, footsteps would usually be, you know, handled like a thud, 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 thud.
Right.
Right? This was like a clatter, like something rushing across the floor with multiple legs. And he had no idea what is going on. He is so scared now that he's starting to remove his Silent Hill posters and stuff on the wall. And one thing that he had bought online was this kind of replica statue. I don't know what, so he didn't say what size it was, but it was a replica statue that he had standing in one of the corners of his room. And he had eventually, and it was with one of those nurses that, you know, had its face blanked off with wrapping and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he had woken up and heard noises and stuff, and then seeing that thing in the corner had scared him now. And so he had gotten rid of that and started taking posters and stuff next. He was just plain scared because he's seeing figures, seeing mist, hearing clattering, running around above him at night. He's even at one point it said that he even experienced while at night things calling his name from either in front of him towards the foot of his bed and even at times underneath his bed. And he was just always so frightened he never wanted to look. And so he's eventually getting to the point that he is thinking about leaving. He hasn't slept hardly at all. He hasn't looked for a job or anything. He hasn't been able to contribute, so they're already getting on to him. Why haven't you paid us nothing? Da 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 da.
Right.
You need to find a job. But he hasn't slept like maybe a couple hours in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't know what to do. And eventually the night comes that forces his decision on what to do. Is he's asleep and he feels that same presence that he felt with the mist that time standing near him, and he turns away from it, not wanting to acknowledge it's there, and he feels as if it's getting closer and closer. And he says he felt that feeling as if, you know, when you're trying to pretend you're asleep and so you know somebody's putting their face in front of you. He says, I felt that, and I opened up my eyes, and I saw a figure of something with wrappings on its face like the nurse staring at me in my face.
Creepy.
And he said when he freaked out, he ran to the door, looked back, still saw it standing there, ran up to the living room, woke his family members that he was living with up. Nobody believed him, said he should have been stopped playing this bullshit a long time ago. And it came to a point that his relationship with them was tarnished through this. He was being haunted by whatever this was, so he left and moved in with a friend. After leaving that property, he had never had an instance again. And while talking to the owners about it, that he was living with when all this happened, they still claimed that nothing had ever happened to them. Real or fake?
I don't know. What do you think, Carrie? Because I picked the last couple.
Sounds fake.
Yeah, it does sound fake.
But he's duped us already, like, so many times. Like, damn it, man.
Y'all go for it.
I
tried to talk y'all into the right answers before, y'all didn't listen. So I'm just gonna let y'all go.
I'm gonna say fake.
I say fake.
Yeah.
All right, both y'all go fake. Bing, bing, bing. It is a fake, made-up story by me.
Yeah.
Yay!
Well, I mean, once you went on with like the Silent Hill like theme to it, it was just like a little much.
Hey,
so I remember
a lot of stories I went through that either had real video game haunting stuff.
I remember.
I just chose to leave a lot of those real ones I saw out of it because I would assume that you would just think they were fake because the lovely after video games.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't doubt that for 1 second. Not.
But all right, number 7, Telephone of the Dead.
Fake. No.
Damn. All right. Well, so this one starts off that this one isn't very long either. So this one starts off. Lady has lost her mom, and her mom and her were very close. She was single, never married, doesn't have any kids.
Okay.
Her whole life was her mom. Her mom was sick, normal kind of illnesses that kill people that you get close to, and that's cancer. And she suffered from leukemia for years, and then her mom passed, and it was just devastating for her. She couldn't really adjust to life without her mom, and she was just like it. She wanted a chance just to say goodbye to her mom. That's all she could think about day and night. It was just, I never got that closure with you because it was just you went to sleep and you were gone.
Right.
So she's just a mess. She's getting warnings from work because she's not showing up hardly much, and when she is, she's not performing well. She's just in a complete depression, and she's even starting to contemplate suicide.
Oh,
wow. She's begun to see a psychiatrist. She's bought a gun to end it, and she says that she has pulled the gun out many times and sat there and thought about using it. Never has yet. One night, as she's crying and she feels like she's trying to work herself up to just finally use it and be done, she says that she's just sobbing in bed and she's just asking for something, and her phone rings. And she answers it, and she said it was really staticky. But she heard her mom's voice on the other side. And her mom's voice said 2 sentences to her, and it went off. And the 2 sentences was, "Always remember I love you, and I'm fine." And that's all she heard. But she said those 2 sentences to her was enough to make her be okay. And after that, it just kind of, she got better and she felt at ease, and that's it. Real or fake?
Well, I don't know. I've heard of people getting calls from loved ones like that. So, but at the same time, it sounds like something that could have came out of a Supernatural episode.
I'm gonna go fake.
Fake. Oh man, why do you think fake?
I don't. It just doesn't sound like it real to me. It really doesn't.
I actually had a friend that did get a call like that. I was with her. She got a call from
right now.
Number.
It is 3-2.
There was no number popped up. No private. It didn't say private number. It didn't say a number at all. It just popped up like it was ringing, and
no,
she
it's
answered
4-2,
it.
sorry.
And she answered it, and it was really staticky, but it said it was the words "I love you." I don't know who it was, but it was the words "I love you," and she said it was her mom's voice. So I've heard of stuff like that happening.
So you think I saw this story and took it?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it
very
well
because
could be
if
real.
if it was a real story, that'd been one of the ones maybe I saw and took it. So what do you think, Nick? Was that enough to convince you that it was real?
No, that wasn't enough to convince me it was real.
So you're not going to change the answer no matter what?
Is that our final answer, Nick?
I don't know, Carrie. I picked the last ones, so.
Oh, he's going to let you pick, Carrie.
All right, I'm going to go with him. That's our final answer.
Fake?
Yep.
Ding, ding, ding. You are correct. It was a totally made-up story by me.
does sound plausible. I give you that. It sounds very plausible.
That makes it 4-3 right now. With now we only have 3 more stories left to go. It's
so we do have a chance of winning this thing.
You do. But you need to get every single one right. If you get 2, it'll just end as a tie. You have to get every single one right from here. Okay. And I will sit there. No, I'm not going to give you the odds of it. So if you haven't been paying attention to what's what, then that's your own fault.
Nick. I mean, I'll go with whatever he says since it's got to be a mutual vote. Anyways, we'll discuss it like we have been and come up with a mutual decision.
Okay. All right, number 8. Civil War hero. So, alright, so there's this town that's in the South in the Confederate States, and there was a Civil War soldier that was hung in the city because during the time that they were fighting for the South, they forced a bunch of slaves on the battlefield that were not voluntary, and he argued against doing that, and since he disobeyed to take part in it, he was executed. Actually hung by a tree out there in one of the fields that would later become like a shopping area kind of thing.
Right.
Well,
disgusting.
Well, now we fast forward to present day, and there's a shopping center there now, and it's one of those, it's not a huge mall, but it's one of those outlet malls. Right. Where, people come to, it's got like maybe a fucking cheap ass Foot Locker and maybe like the last remaining Hot Topic in it.
Right.
Something like that, And as this thing has been there for years, people have always said that they feel like they're being watched or being bothered by something, and they never understand what, as far as they know, what's been told to security and other people through the mall is that they just kind of feel like somebody's following them around. And the crazy thing is that it's usually women, younger, from early teens to early 20, those kind of ages.
Right.
And
middle-aged women.
Yeah. And so as, these more and more women go along saying they feel like they're being followed, and some have actually said they felt like they were being grabbed or pulled or, kind of pushed into a certain direction, like they were being denied towards somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And
like they went one way, but they were being pushed a different way.
Yeah, and so mall security looks through cameras, and a lot of these instances they can see where people had kind of just shuffled and kind of they made acknowledgement that something just happened.
Right.
So they were confirming these people's stories. So it started to gain some backing. People really didn't know what to think, and then eventually one day one of the mall guards is walking through the thing, and they had recently had a break-in at one of the stores there.
Oh.
And so it has I think plywood on the door to keep it on the big window that was there until they could replace the window.
Right.
And as the security guard made his round around the corner, he said he saw standing there, as if it was standing guard over the window, he saw a Confederate soldier holding a rifle by his side. And he said when he ran back to his office to get his friend to come back and show him that some dude was fucking whacked out in the mall pulling guard in a Confederate suit, nobody was there. So other people see this same kind of thing of a Confederate soldier around the mall over the years, and nothing really gets thought about it. It's just become the kind of thing. Some people even start showing up to it just to see if they see a Confederate soldier.
Right, to see the haunted mall, yeah.
Yeah, so as one day this lady that worked in the mall was leaving, and she was also one of the ladies that had priorly made a report that she felt like she'd been followed, tugged on, and other things. She was on her way out. She was on her way out to the car and was in the parking lot. And while being in the parking lot, she opened up her door and was immediately attacked by a living person trying to rob her. She was struck on the back of the head and fell into the car. She said, and she turned around and finally got enough muster to pull herself over to turn around to see who had just hit her. She said the attacker was on the ground and that he was unconscious. And when she goes and gets security and they arrest him and everything, and then the police ask to get the surveillance for the thing so they could use it for evidence, they go back in, get the videotape, and when they get the videotape, they see right as the guy hits the lady, something in the image that is distorted but kind of has a figure to it appears for like 2 seconds of the video behind the guy. The guy then just shuffles himself that just attacked the lady and falls over. After that, they had no idea what to think. All they could take on was that this was nuts. The cops didn't even know what to say about it. I mean, how do you write up in a book that, ghosts stop for, perp?
Yeah.
Citizens arrested by dead Civil War soldier.
Yeah, and so, I mean, at first they were just like, this is nuts. And then all of a sudden that security guard started thinking and started talking with everybody. He's like, what if he's not following people around, like trying to hurt people, but he's like just escorting people around so they're safe?
Yeah.
And that's why he was. That's why he was standing guard at that window that was broken into, and then he came to the aid of that lady out in the parking lot.
Right.
So from that day on,
space, and he was protecting everyone in his space who was in danger.
Because that's how he died.
Right.
And so to this day, the malls. I don't know if the mall's still open to this day, but as last that I read on that thing, it was still going, and they had just referred to him as the Civil War hero. They said actually one of the quotes from people was, they may call him a traitor in history, but to us he's a hero. Real or fake?
I'm going to say real.
Oh, going real.
Yeah, I agree.
Going real. All right. Bing, bing, bing. It is real. It is a real story. Happened in Louisiana.
Nice.
All right. Number 9. Haunting on the set of E.T.
Real. No.
Okay, so everybody knows what E.T. is, the classic Steven Spielberg, sci-fi thriller.
Yeah.
If you don't, get out from under the rock you're living under.
Yeah, E.T. Phone Home. So, but as they were on the set, one celebrity claims multiple times that she worked with other children that were on that set, that after becoming older and realizing that there were no other children on that set. Drew Barrymore, at the young age that she was, claims many times that while in her dressing room and in other parts of the set, that while between takes and she would play around and everything else, that there were other kids on the set that she played with. When coming back in a later date, asking her mom to re-see some of these kids that she became friends with during this the filming of E.T., her mom started to ask around, well, whose kids were these people? Maybe we can arrange a play date. She's wanting to play with them. Well, next thing you know, everybody's like, well, nobody ever brought no kids on the set. The only kids that were on the set were the ones that were the actors paid to be on the set. And to this day, she still says that she knows she had friends that were there that she played with, and this has always made her a full believer in the paranormal world. Real or fake?
Fake.
Fake.
All right. It's wrong. It's real.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. It's fake.
I was gonna say, Drew Barrymore is a fucking wackadoodle, like.
All right. And the last one is number 10. It followed me home. All right. So this guy has always been a huge believer in the paranormal, so much that he goes on to start his own paranormal group. He claims that through multiple times he's come home and been fine, and him and his wife have just had a full love of the paranormal, and that's why they do what they do. And during their times of doing it, they have experienced things that's made them full-on believers.
Yeah, and the longer you're in it, the more of a believer you are.
Yeah, and he said that's kind of how it was for him. It started off as a fascination, and then later turned into a point that he just was a full-on believer, and he wanted to actually start proving that this was real.
Yep.
And he grew a mutual respect for it. You know, like he believed that these things were sometimes cognitive and could understand him. And during this time where he thought they could understand him and listen to him, he grew respect for the entities. Until one night, after doing a paranormal investigation for a family that said their child, because they said apparently they take every case that involves a child very seriously.
Which you have to, as...
And, yeah, and so they wanted to get out there and help the family as fast as they could with the investigation. And as they're doing the investigation, they said that it's just become very evident and clear that something evil was attached to this little girl and was haunting her. They investigated it for a long time. Several incidences had occurred, and eventually it came to a point where they had brought in a priest and stuff to, you know, bless the house and, you know, expel whatever's in the house. So the night that they do the exorcism or whatever they do on the house, blessing with the sage and all that stuff, he goes home that night with his wife, which is part of the paranormal crew. And after he goes home that night, he's dead asleep, and about 3-something in the morning, he's viciously attacked in bed. He said it just happened out of nowhere. It was like somebody climbed on top of him and started just attacking the fuck out of him. He said that and this guy's not a small dude either. He was a pretty decent, stocky guy. He said even with his strength, he could not fight whatever it was on top of him, and he could not see anything. But he was attacked very maliciously, and his wife had even taken pictures and posted this story of the injuries that happened to him that night. And there was claw marks on his chest and in his private region. Real or fake?
Fake.
Fake.
I know what Nick's doing. I just want to see if Carrie follows along.
I don't know, you cut it off right at the bat. It's like...
Well, I mean, okay. after that point, I mean, it just stopped. It didn't haunt him anymore. He said to him, it felt like as if whatever it was attacked him out of revenge for expelling him from where he was. Which I've heard of a lot of paranormal investigators that that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, they fuck with you a lot worse than that, though.
I don't know, getting my genitals slashed pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, but that just doesn't ever happen.
Yeah, there
Like,
is.
not in
There's
the
all kinds of
genital
sexual
area.
demons and stuff.
So you're saying it was a succubus?
I don't know, man. There's been plenty of stories that people say that they're there.
I'm
I
still
know
saying
what
fake.
succubuses are, and I know what incubuses are and everything. It just doesn't sound like that particular kind of haunting. So I don't know. I think fake. It just doesn't sound real.
Okay, well, y'all, it is a made up story by me.
I
And
know.
I know why Nick was doing it. Nick's been over there counting which ones have been right and wrong, so he knew that the number goes a certain
He's
way.
over there counting cards. We need to take his ass to Vegas.
So I knew once Nick just started pelting out before the stories, before I'm even done asking the question, fake, I was like, yep, this motherfucker counted.
Yeah, no. I was just going by like, the story itself, like the details, like the ones that were real were not.
Hey,
as
I got
vague.
you on quite a few of those ones that I made up.
Quite a few, but the ones that's what I was noticing though. The ones that were real, you
No,
weren't.
I think that if
You
Nick
weren't as
wasn't
vague
counting,
with
he
them.
might have gone with that last one.
No, I definitely would have said fake either way.
Oh no, I don't know.
No, I definitely would have said fake.
You've had something like those kind of things happen to you.
No, I still would have said fake because it's a little much, for something like that to happen. And even then,
Well,
it doesn't.
I will tell you this: that
That
last story is fake because I made this certain details of it up. But I did base it off of a real story because I was running out of material since I don't believe in ghosts. So the real story went on to the fact that the guy did do all that. He did go home and get his genitals mutilated. The thing that happened that was differently was there was no little girl. There was no family that called him. It was just a normal investigation he did over a haunted place, and whatever was there that night came home and fucked him up.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha.
So I added the priest and the little girl in the family. But the other part was as far as the investigator went on to say is that when he did go home that night, it was blurred out besides the certain section where they had to stitch his ball sack up. So that's why I was like, you don't think that could happen? Because that was the one part that was real.
It just sounds so extra. Like, you hear them getting scratched on their back. You hear them getting scratched on the arm, on the cheek, on the leg, on the stomach, on the sides, on the face.
Yeah, but I thought that the fact that had been so far out there that you would have been like, maybe that's real because I don't think Jason would throw something that outrageous out there. Because I don't usually just make up ball genital mutilations. But
I don't know. Ghost dicks, like, I don't know.
Tally of the final score is 4-5. Wait, no, it is 4-6.
Yep.
Y'all could win by 1.
2. 4-6 is 2.
Oh wait, no. No, y'all would only win by. No, it wasn't 4-6. Since y'all only won by 1.
5-6 or 5-4.
5-6.
5-4. Because you had 4 and we were at 3 at one point. And we got
Well, then we had it tied then.
No. Because we were behind.
Yeah, you told us if we got the last 3 right, we would win, and we did.
Oh yeah, it was 4-3 at 7 at question 7, and so.
Yeah,
and y'all got the last 4. Yeah, so 6-4. Yeah.
Yeah, we won by 2.
1 by 2. Well, the only reason you fucking won by 2 is because Nick's over the goddamn fucking poker face counting.
Well, if I didn't get...
Once that Civil War story came out and that was real, I figured that would have been the one that threw you off because that was so outlandish that if I wasn't reading it from a fucking news article, I would have thought it was fake.
Well, that's the other thing. I've heard like stories like that before too, but it wasn't like that outlandish. I mean, it was
really
out there.
wasn't, especially for that area.
A ghost attacking a guy, and the cops are like, "Oh yeah, thank you, ghost."
Hey, I would. I'd be like,
Pretty
yo,
outlandish.
you're looking out, bro.
Well, thank God the mugger wasn't black. It would have been a whole really bad situation. Confederate soldier attacks black guy. You know how bad that would be?
Dead Confederate soldier.
We would be banning ghosts. No more ghosts.
They would demand those ghosts be in prison. Put those mothers in prison.
That's it. But that was it, guys. That's all I had.
It was good. It was good.
That was definitely a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. So officially, out of the first "Which is Real, Which is Not" segment, y'all are the first winners of it. So congratulations.
Are you out on other people?
No, y'all are the first ones. That's why y'all are the first winners.
Yeah.
It's the first.
Well, you said first winners, making it sound like you tried it out on other people and it didn't.
Time that this is gone, and either y'all could have lost or could have won. Y'all won.
Okay.
Y'all could have also been the first losers.
That is true.
But that was me. I'll always be the first loser of my own fucking
I'd
game.
wear it proudly.
But yep, that's it, guys. That's all I had tonight.
All right, that's all we got for tonight.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July, everybody. Thank you all again for coming in. Hope you're all having a safe and good 4th of July. Thank you all for your service, for all the military vets and active military service we have right now. From all of us to you, thank you all very, very much.
Yep, thank you. God bless. Stay safe.
Absolutely, thank you. God bless.
And also to all first responders and people that keep us safe on a daily basis, thank you too.
Yes, thank you all. We will be back on again next week. I believe it is Carrie's turn to pick the topic.
I believe so, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the topic that I picked this week because I thought it was my turn. So I'll let you know.
All right.
Okay.
That's fine. So we hope to see you all then next weekend. Till then, have a good night. Stay safe. I'm Nick. My co-hosts Carrie and Jason.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys and girls.
Have a good night, everybody.
Jason, you love child.
I know.